Hello everybody, and welcome back to Weekly Live Wisdom. So far I've been your host, Zero Yeti, and happy Halloween! In fact, this entire week is just dedicated to spoopy species to celebrate All Hallows Eve. Let's go into it with our first scary species. You can't do Halloween without a spider, and the first species being Brachypelma homori, which is also known as the Mexican red-knee tarantula, which is a species of large spider native to the Sierra Madre Occidental and Sierra Madre del Sur mountain ranges in the Mexican states of Colima, Jalisco, and Mochichian. Here they can be found throughout scrubland and deciduous forests, where they are largely nocturnal animals, spending their days deep inside of burrows before emerging at night to hunt for prey such as insects, amphibians, and small mammals. They in turn are fed upon by predators such as coyotes, roadrunners, and foxes. It is a large species of spider, with females typically sporting body lengths of 2 to 2.5 inches, while males are slightly smaller, measuring around 1.8 to 2 inches in length. The legs and palps are black to reddish brown, with the three distinctly colored rings. Adult males have light grayish red around the border of the carapace, with the darker reddish black markings in the middle of the carapace to the front of the head, and the upper surface of the abdomen is black, while adult females vary more in carapace color and pattern, and may be mainly black with brownish pink border, or the dark area may be broken up into a starburst pattern with pale orange yellow elsewhere. Like most New World tarantulas, they kick urticating hairs from their abdomen and their back legs if disturbed, rather than bite. They are only slightly venomous to humans and are considered extremely docile, though, as with all tarantulas, their large fangs can cause very painful bites and large puncture wounds. During the mating season, the male spins a web on the ground to which he deposits sperm before transferring it onto his palps. And then he goes in search of a mate, typically finding her burrow, where he will attempt to coax her out. If he is successful, he will deposit sperm from his palps into a fur on her abdomen, which she will store until she is ready to lay between 200 and 400 eggs in an egg sac. The female then guards this egg sac in her burrow for 1 to 3 months, carrying it with her whenever she leaves, until the spiderlings are ready to hatch. The offspring are then protected by their mother in the burrow until their first molt, after which they then venture out and become fully independent. Under ideal conditions, a Mexican red-knee tarantula may live up to 20 years. The next up is the ii, which is a long-fingered strepsirrhine primate native to the island of Madagascar. And I chose them because they have a lot of mythology and like taboos surrounding them, that they're like evil spirits. When in reality, they're actually just really fascinating creatures. Measuring around 3 feet in length, with a tail longer than the body, and upwards of 4 pounds in weight, they are the world's largest nocturnal primate. Young eyes are typically silver colored in their front and have a stripe down their back. However, as eyes mature, their bodies become covered in thick fur, which is typically black near the skin, but the ends of the hair on the head and back may be tipped with white, while the rest of the body can be tipped with yellow or brown in colors. Among the II signature traits are its unusual fingers, sporting a pseudo-thumb, a remarkably thin third finger, and a long fourth finger tipped in a hooked claw. Eyes can be found throughout deciduous tropical rainforests of eastern Madagascar, where they spend their days sleeping in spherical nests amongst the forks of tree branches that are constructed out of leaves, branches, and vines. They emerge at night to forage and socialize, and they are characterized by their unusual method of using echolocation to find food via tapping on trees using its third finger and listening in with its giant ears to find grubs. And then, using its forward slanting incisors, they bite a small hole into which they can then insert their narrow middle finger to pull insects out. This foraging method is called percussive foraging, and the only other mammal known to do it is the striped possum. In addition to insects and other arthropods, aye-ayes are also known to occasionally eat fruits and nuts. Like many other Promosinians, the female aye-aye is the dominant over the male, and they are not typically monogamous, often challenging each other for mates. Male aye-ayes are very assertive in this way, sometimes even pulling other males away from a female during mating. Outside of mating, aye-ayes are largely communicate solely through scent markings, only occasionally directly interacting with one another, sometimes to communally forage at particularly abundant food sites. A female aye-aye typically becomes pregnant once every 2 to 3 years, giving birth to a single baby, after a 7-month gestation period. Aye-ayes typically reach sexual maturity around 2 years of age and live 20 to 30 years in ideal conditions. Next up is a personal favorite, being the pied crow, which is a widely distributed African bird species in the genus Corvus. It is generally similar in size to most other crow species, measuring in at around 18 to 20 inches in length, 1 to 2 pounds in weight, and they sport a 12 to 15-inch wingspan. They have proportionally larger tail and wings, a more robust bill, and longer legs. As the name suggests, its glossy black head and neck are interrupted by a large area of white feathers from the shoulders down to the lower breast. The tail, bill, and wings are also black. This species is Africa's most widespread member of the genus Corvus, and they occur throughout Nigeria, Ghana, Senegal, Sudan, Somalia, Eritrea, Zambia and Zimbabwe down to the Cape of Good Hope, as well as on the islands of Madagascar, the Comoros Islands, Aldabra, Assumption Island, Cosmoledo, Ostov Island, Zanzibar, Pemba, and the Fernando Po. It avoids dense rainforests, preferring to inhabit mainly savanna, scrubland, open woodland, and the agricultural land in and around villages and towns. Here they feed upon insects and other small invertebrates, small reptiles, small mammals, young birds, eggs, grains, peanuts, fruit, carrion, and any scraps of human food they can find. The pied crow has even been reported killing and eating roosting fruit bats, and is frequently found in large numbers scavenging around slaughterhouses and other kill sites. Although a sociable species, outside of resources of abundant food, they prefer to live in small familial flocks of less than 15 individuals. They are a monogamous species which breeds from September to November, depending on the latitude, and the nest is usually built in tall, isolated trees or on the cross supports of telephone poles and other wooden structures. Here, the female will lay 3 to 6 spotted pale green eggs, which are then incubated and cared for by both parents for a period of 18 to 19 days. Fledging occurs after roughly 45 days, and under ideal conditions, the pied crow may live well past 20 years. Next up is Pliocercus arizonus, was also commonly known as the Halloween snake, the black Halloween snake, or Coates false coral snake. It is a species of snake in the subfamily Dipsoniidae in the family Colubridae. The Halloween snake is indigenous to the lowland rainforests, mangrove swamps, and montane cloud forests of Colombia, Costa Rica, Ecuador, Honduras, Nicaragua, and Panama, where they can be found from sea level up to 4,800 feet in elevation. Here they sport a semi-arboreal lifestyle, primarily feeding upon amphibians, particularly the red-eyed tree frog, as well as small lizards and other snakes, and occasionally small rodents. The Halloween snake itself is eaten by birds of prey and larger snakes. They are a mildly venomous rear-fanged serpent species, measuring in and around half-pound in weight and 18 inches in length. And they are characterized by their iconic coloring, which consists of alternating jet black and bright orange bands going down from the head to the tail, with the underbelly typically being pale yellow or cream in coloration. The Halloween snake is an oviparous species, with females typically depositing 10 to 15 eggs. After mating in an underground nest, she then covers with leaf litter. After around 60 to 70 days, the eggs then hatch, and under ideal conditions, the Halloween snake may live upwards of 20 years. Next up is the Goblin Shark, which is Mitsukurine awastani, is a species of deep-sea shark, sometimes called a living fossil, because it is the only extinct representative of its family, Mitsukurinidae, a lineage some 125 million years old. They are benthopelagic creatures that inhabit upper continental slopes, submarine canyons, and seamounts throughout the world's oceans at depths between 330 and 4,500 feet. This pink-skinned animal has a distinctive profile with an elongated flat snout, highly protrusible jaws containing prominent nail-like teeth, The body is fairly slender and flabby, sporting 5 distinct gill slits on either side of the head. 2 small dorsal fins, 2 pectoral fins, which are also rather rounded. The pectoral and anal fins have long bases and are larger than the dorsal fins, with the large asymmetric caudal fin sporting a large upper lobe with a shallow ventral notch near the tip, and indistinct lower lobe. Adult goblin sharks usually measure between 9 and 13 feet in length and 350 to 450 pounds in weight. However, the capture of an enormous 20-foot-long female in the year 2000 showed the species can grow far larger than previously suspected. The goblin shark is an ambush predator of Teleo's fishes, cephalopods, and crustaceans. Its low density flesh and large oily liver make it neutrally buoyant, allowing it to drift towards its prey with minimal motion so as to avoid detection. Once the prey comes into range, the shark's specialized jaws can snap forward to capture it. The protrusion of the jaw is assisted by 2 pairs of elastic ligaments associated with the mandibular joint, which are then pulled taut when the jaws are in their normal retracted position. When the shark bites, the ligaments release their tension and essentially catapult the jaws forward. At the same time, a well-developed biseal on the floor of the mouth drops, expanding the oral cavity and sucking in the prey. Little is known about the goblin shark's reproduction methods, but it's thought to be viviparous, with low litter sizes. We do know that they reach sexual maturity around 8.5 feet in length, and are thought to live up to 60 years. Next up is the iconic common vampire bat, which is a species of nocturnal leaf-nosed bat native to North Central and South America, as well as the Caribbean islands of Margarita and Trinidad, from as far north as Mexico to as far south as Argentina and Chile. Here they prefer warm and humid climates ranging from grasslands to rainforests to subtropical woodlands. The common vampire bat is short-haired with silver-gray fur on its underside, and demarcated from the darker hair on its back. It sports a well-developed clawed thumb on each wing that is used to climb onto prey, traverse on the land, and assist the animal in takeoff. The common vampire bat averages around 3.5 inches long with a 7-inch wingspan and commonly weighing just around 2 ounces, but its weight can drastically increase after it feeds. As the name suggests, though, the common vampire bat feeds exclusively on the blood of other animals, chiefly being mammals and large birds. To eat this blood, the bat is equipped with sharp incisor teeth that are used to nip a small piece of flesh. An anticoagulant in the vampire bat's saliva allows the blood to flow continually instead of clotting, and the vampire bat then laps up the blood that flows from the wound with its grooved tongue. Contrary to popular belief, vampire bats do not suck the blood from the prey. Each night, a vampire bat needs around 2 tablespoons of blood to feed, and they cannot go for more than 2 nights without food. At one time, wild animals such as tapirs and camelids comprised most of the vampire bat's diet, but with the increase in man's population and our livestock, this bat now feeds mainly on domestic animals such as cows, pigs, chickens, and horses. A vampire bat tracks down its prey using echolocation and its olfactory senses before landing on or near the prey, typically targeting the rump, flank, or neck. During the day, they can be found roosting in trees, caves, abandoned buildings, old wells, and mines, living in large colonies ranging from 100 to 1,000 members. They groom each other and take care of each other rather well, even going so far as to regurgitate and share food with a roost mate who is not as fortunate in their nightly hunt. Vampire bats are reproductively active year-round. Mating tends to peak in the raining season, with females giving birth to 1 offspring at a time following a 7-month pregnancy. The young are raised by the colony, with mothers leaving their young at night to hunt, and then they return and call their young to feed. The young accompany their mothers at hunting around 6 months of age, but are not fully weaned until 9 months. Under ideal conditions, a common vampire rat may live as long as 29 years. And our extinct animal of the week is Beelzebufo, also known as the devil frog, the devil toad, or the frog from hell. It was a particularly large species of prehistoric frog, which was described in 2008. They lived in the Medverno Formation of late Cretaceous Madagascar some 70 million years ago, along with the previously mentioned Simosuchus. Slightly outweighing its contemporary counterpart, the 7-pound Goliath frog of Equatorial Guinea, Beelzebufo is thought to be the largest frog that ever lived, reaching around 10 pounds in weight and measuring upwards of 16 inches in length. It is characterized by its large skull, massive jaws, and head ridges, as well as armored scoots along the head and back. It is thought that these latter traits, being the head ridges and armored scoots, were adaptations to keep the devil frog from being devoured by even larger predators at the time, such as Majungasaurus, Masakiasaurus, and Mahajungasuchus. Although these features may have been sexually selected characteristics as well, with more heavily armored males being more attracted to females. In life, Beelzebufo would have dwelled within woodlands and seasonal wetlands of Madagascar, acting as a primarily terrestrial sit-and-wait predator. This would have involved Beelzebufo relying on its coloration as well as maybe hiding in the undergrowth to blend into its surroundings, possibly near a clearing or a trackway, essentially sitting and waiting to gobble down any small creature unfortunate enough to cross its path. As always, take care of my guys, gals, and binary pals. Happy Halloween!